Yusuf Adam says, offshore manganese mining is one of the common seabed mining sectors elsewhere. Given that South Africa is endowed with well over 90% of the world's reserves in the Northern Cape interior, can this marine mining subsector be justified in South Africa?
Well, I think that's a good question, but knowing the mining industry quite well, mostly because my wife is an economic geologist, so I've had to learn this. Mining is always driven by the bottom. What is the bottom dollar that's going to be found out of things? And marine mining is difficult, technologically difficult. It's expensive to see where your resource is. So you need to have a ship and all of this equipment to go and map it. And then you need something to extract it. So it's much easier to dig a giant hole, which is like exactly what's happening in the Northern Cape, a giant open pit mine where you can extract all of that manganese, just blast it. You've got a few different issues to worry about in terms of environmental hazards and that sort of thing. But on the whole, it's a far easier thing to do. So that ease translates to time and money, which I imagine is going to be the bottom dollar for everybody. So Assmang and all of those guys that are mining there. So I don't think ferromanganese nodules will be something that we're going to be moving towards, particularly because our manganese and our iron resources are just so good. We have very, very high quality iron grade in the Northern Cape too, as is manganese. And it just seems unlikely that we would probably try and go for a very high hanging fruit when we have the low hanging fruit right at our fingertips. So I hope that answers the question.
Right. Thank you very much. Lusanda Malusi says, great presentation, Andrew. I have learned a lot.
Well, thank you.
I don't see any other questions. Do you alert me to them? And please raise your virtual hand if you would like to ask a question. In the meantime, maybe I can ask you more about the rare earth elements.
Sure.
Is there evidence of rare earth elements offshore? How's that progressing?
So there's absolutely evidence for them. So these things are quite strongly associated with the common occurrences of other heavy minerals. But the thing is that, again, South Africa and our economy in many ways looks to the now. So this is the boom now, which is, okay, let's go and get the titanium out because that's what's going to drive steel smelting across the globe. And we focused on that. And there's been very little focus on whatever is happening in association with that. So, from what I can gather, and I've done a search on this because I think this would be a useful thing, a bit of research to do would be to go and just take samples and look to see what's in them. We know really nothing about the development of the rare earth element hosting sands. So it's monazite sands. There's very, very little that we know of about that, offshore at least. Yet, you look at comparable places like the west coast of India, loads of monazite, loads and loads of sand that's hosting that, where they actually make a lot of money mining these, and that's all going to sustainable and strong inverted commas, of course, energy. So that's something I think that would be a great focus for moving ahead in future, but at the moment is just really a large unknown.
Right. And offshore wind energy, you had some photographs there of the of windmills.
Yeah. So that too, it's quite funny. So I have colleagues and my students. I have multiple students that are working now overseas in the offshore wind business. So they are out siting these. So it's not just about using that to get energy. You've got to actually have a fairly strong map made of the seabed, of the sediment thickness, of the sediment types, etc., to be able to potentially site a major wind farm. It's not just also about like how strong the ocean currents are or the winds or necessarily the wave energy. It's also about whether or not you actually have an area that is sustainable to site both the farm and the cabling. So we've done a bit of work. It's actually been quite interesting, again off Richards Bay. I'm not sure why Richards Bay was chosen, because I don't think Richards Bay is particularly windy, much windier, say, than Durban. And it's also a busy port. but there was a desktop study that was done, I think pending further work. And again, that desktop study reveals that we just know nothing. Down there, we've got some very old coarse bathymetry that's been collected back in the day, in the 1980s. We've got some seabed maps that were made for Richards Bay minerals. And then we've got the work that we've been doing to the north of Richards Bay. And that's just not enough. But funnily enough, when you pose it to the company and you go, if you want this done properly, you're going to have to spend millions. Then it's no, we can do a desktop study. And I think we skirt the issue many times environmentally by doing that. It's cheap to do a desktop study. So therefore, we should just do that, even though probably for completeness sake and anywhere else, we would probably do a variety of different surveys and we know for sure. So, that's my experience so far, but I can promise that this will be the wave of the future, or the wind of the future, I should say.